and then it felt like everything that you used to get back into the game, you didn't have enough juice to finish things off and get a big win for Carolina.
Exactly. And Carolina, we've got to figure out how to have better starts to these games. And if you look at every major loss that we've been involved with, we've been down double digits in the first half, and we've had to claw and fight our way back in the second. And the amount of energy that takes is very exhausting, and it wears on you throughout the game. But you got to figure out the starts. You can't start a game like you did tonight against a team like Florida or any of these other top teams in the country and expect to win the ball game. I just felt like to start the game, the guys weren't really, the energy wasn't there. It just seems like, the starts are a huge issue, and I'm not sure how to fix that. I don't know if it's, they're looking for a new starting lineup every other game, or if it's, you got to look at what you're doing pregame, warm up, what you're doing to prepare yourself for the game. But you've got to figure out how to have better starts. You even look at Kansas. We got down big against them. We got down big against Dayton. We clawed back and fought back and won that game. But I will say the positive to that is we've always fought ourselves back into the game and given ourselves a chance to win. And when I watch this game tonight, the one thing I really like is R.J. Davis. He really asserted himself and reminded us who he is. I thought he had a big game, and it was kind of a breakout game, especially for what we expected for him to have this year. And the other player that I really like was N. Jackson. I felt like he took over in the second half for a short period and was like a go-to player. I mean, he was hitting NBA jump shots, contested, ISO guy. It was amazing. But when it's all said and done, we didn't execute down the stretch either. We got to close out games and give ourselves a better chance and get higher quality shots. Florida beat us up on the offensive boards late in the game. We can't give a team like that second chance buckets or we're going to lose. And we knew that coming in. Florida's one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country.
Yeah, I think the hard thing is, guys, I'm sitting there watching. I'm sorry, Ken. The first time working together, you're going to have to give me a little leeway.
No, you're good, CO. You're good.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm sorry. I think kind of the discouraging thing was, if you're Carolina, is like I thought they really battled. Like I thought their toughness showed, their offensive toughness in the second half showed. They didn't turn it over. Like Florida's big. They're big around the perimeter. They're big on the interior. Like they're big, they're physical, they're strong. And Carolina doesn't have the most physically imposing dudes, at least not named Seth Trimble. So outside of that, it's not the most physically imposing lineup. The thing that scares me, and it kind of goes back to, why they're getting back or getting down so early in the game, they don't have anywhere to get easy looks. Like, where do you go on this Carolina team to get easy looks? I feel like R.J. Davis, he was phenomenal tonight. Phenomenal. I'm not taking away from that. But he hits a lot of hard shots, a lot of really hard shots. And when you're relying on hard shots to keep yourself in the game or get back in the game, you're going to have these massive runs and massive spurts. I thought Ian Jackson hit some really hard ones today. The momentum gets going and shot making is contagious. But where do you go for an easy one? Where'd you, like, Tyler Hansbrough ain't on that roster. You can't just throw it down there and you're either getting to the free throw line or getting an easy bucket. Like, there's none of that for this team. And I was a little disheartened, guys, because today was just a microcosm of what their season has been all year. If they play the SEC, it's been a struggle. But at the same time, you look at what they're able to do to battle, to scrap, to fight, to get close and put themselves in position to win. And at the very end of the game, what happens? They're just not big enough. They boxed out. They did all the right things, but they just didn't have the personnel to go up and get a couple of rebounds when they absolutely needed them. 2 offensive rebounds in the last minute and a half when they desperately needed them against Florida, or desperately needed it into possession against Florida. And Florida was just bigger and a little bit more athletic and a little bit stronger. And that's the thing that's a little bit disheartening for me, because you look at the guard talent on that roster, but the size just isn't there.
They're fairly easy to game plan against. I mean, honestly, right? You got to get back in transition, and you don't give RJ anything. And you're really not worried about their bigs at all. Then Alan Lubin was good for about 3 minutes at the start of the second half. He was really good. He helped get him back in. And like Tyler said, like Ian Jackson, I mean, it was like a show for a couple minutes. It was like AAU ball. I remember seeing him a couple years ago in AAU, and that's what he can do. But that's not what Carolina needs as much as they need a big that can rebound, that's an enforcer. They need Tyler Hansbrough, or even the poorest of poor man's Tyler Hansbrough. They just need a beast in there, because if they get one rebound at the end of that game, they win that game.
Look, Tyler, it sounds like you might have to pull back up to Chapel Hill, man, and go through some rebounding drills with that front court over at Carolina. But, I mean, it's one thing that you can't just miraculously do overnight, and that's grow and stack on 3 to 4 inches of your height. Like that's not going to happen. So they have to find other ways of rebounding that basketball, and that's going to be the MO moving forward with North Carolina, no matter who they play. It doesn't matter if it's Florida, but especially if you get into ACC play, and we'll get into that conversation on the conference in a little bit. But the number one priority for opponents would be attack the glass, because they have some ineptitudes when it comes to blocking out, Tyler. So, I mean, when you have a team, and Jeff laid it out in terms of how to game plan against them, it's also this. I think that you can give RJ whatever he wants, but then not allow Elliot Cadeau or anybody else really to have these games. And that's the thing for me looking at this Carolina team offensively, is like RJ can go off like he did tonight with those 29 points. And I know a lot of Carolina fans are like, thank you. This is the RJ Davis that we know and remember. Can you continue this on? And I believe that he wants to aim to do that. But it's the other guys around him that's a concern with this team, especially when Hubert is continuing to switch around this starting five. You can't develop any continuity with that moving forward, Tyler.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say is you can't expect any player to hit shots like Inn did tonight. You can't rely on that. That's just
exactly.
That's hero basketball. And a little bit to RJ, but Jeff brought up a good point. Is they're easy to game plan against, and what do you mean by that? Is listen, RJ's really the only true shooter we have right now. Cade hasn't been hitting shots like we thought. Elliot, I mean, he's not really a shooter. And so you can't slow the ball down and play half-court basketball, because they're just going to load up on RJ, and everyone's going to load up in the paint, and just there's no open shots. Guys can't get to the basket. They can't take people off the dribble because the defense is just sagging. But what it comes down to with this team is defense and energy. I think if they come out with a defensive mindset and they force the other team to turn over the ball, and that just plays into the pace that Carolina wants to play. That takes a half-court game out of it, because when you force turnovers, it immediately leads you into the fast break, and you don't have to slow it down and let the defense set. So you can get some easier buckets, especially for guys like Elliott and other guys that aren't really good shooters right now. And once they get their confidence, then you can start moving it over, and guys hit better shots, and there's a little bit more of a fluidity to the game, and we're shooting shots within the flow of the game. Sometimes when we get into these half-court games, especially Carolina, we're shooting awful shots. We're shooting contested NBA three-point shots with 2 or 3 seconds left on the shot clock, just because we haven't gotten anything or any quality looks. So for me, it's energy, because you can't start the game like you did tonight. You've got to come out with a better energy and a better tone. You can't come out and just get down 15, 20 points against these top teams, and you've got to play better defense. That way it can lead into your offense and play the way that you want to play.
Can I be honest, though? When you look at the stat sheet tonight, like, this is the disheartening thing for me. When you look at the stat sheet tonight, and you can notice it during a game, like Florida was not very safe with the ball today, still scored 90 points. They turned the ball over 17 times. The magic number in high school is like 14, 15. The magic number in college is right around that 9 to 11, 12 range. Like, if you can do that, you're fine. But, like, the scarier part was Carolina forced 11 live ball turnovers, steals, to where they could get out. Guys, outside of, like, getting rebounds, I thought Carolina did all they could do. Like, they shot 5 for 28 from 3. Why was that? They were all freaking contested. And that's why it's this loss.
Except T.O. for the last one from RJ, where I forget who the defender was who slipped. And RJ, I think he was almost shocked how open he was for that last one.
Right. Well, I mean, like, every one of them contested. I thought Carolina did everything they could do.